We are going to cover lots of things in this webinar, but really focusing on that school to home partnership. Before we get started, I just want to give a quick introduction. My colleague Jenny and I are with Committee for Children. We are the makers of Second Step, and our vision is for safe children thriving in a just and peaceful world. And we accomplish that by working on products like the Second Step curriculum and also through advocacy work. We are currently available in all 50 states, and we reach 24.4 million children yearly. So that's something that we are really passionate about, and hope you are as well. As a part of our work, we just want to let you all know our commitments. So equity is something that we are really committed to, and we seek to recognize, condemn, disrupt, and rectify systemic injustices that create barriers to children's success. And as a part of that, we always acknowledge that Committee for Children, our organization's offices do sit on the unceded traditional lands of the Coast Salish peoples, past and present, and specifically the first people of Seattle, Washington, the Duwamish tribe. So just something that we like to acknowledge as a part of our commitment to equity. And today we have two folks here from Committee for Children, as I mentioned. My name is Rebecca Lassen, and I am a success manager. I used to work as a classroom teacher, and I've also been a program director specializing in social emotional learning. And I'm really excited to work with you all, and also to work with my colleague, Jenny, who is joining me today. And I will let Jenny introduce herself.
So wonderful to be here with you all today. Like Rebecca shared, my name is Jenny Nelson, and I am also a client success manager here at Committee for Children. I am also a former teacher and spent some time at the district level supporting MTSS and PBIS initiatives. And as we move through our time today, I also want to let you know that I will be monitoring the chat. So please feel free to throw in any questions or reflections that you have for us throughout the hour, and I will be happy to read those out or type back a response for you. Also, thank you so much for all of the love and dedication and hard work that you bring to your students and communities every day. We feel so lucky to partner with such dedicated educators, and again, look forward to being here with you today talking about how to stay connected with our families. And I'll go ahead and pass it back over to you, Rebecca.
Thank you, Jenny, and thanks so much for keeping an eye on the chat. We really do love these to be interactive. So any questions or thoughts or even reflections on how you do things in your school setting that works well for you, those kinds of reflections are always valued and helpful for everyone. So jumping in here, our objectives for the day, as we've kind of alluded to, are to make sure that you all are familiar with and able to locate the materials that are available to support your families and caregivers within the Second Step programs. And then we also want to support you in developing a plan for when and how you're communicating with families about the programs at strategic times of year. Just to kind of level set, we understand that many of you are probably very familiar with social emotional learning. That's why you're here, but your families might not be. And so this is a good opportunity to really level set and start using some of the same language, and also to talk about social emotional learning from a more holistic lens. There at the center here, you can see social emotional learning is surrounded by the 5 CASEL core competencies, which are self-management, self-awareness, responsible decision-making, relationship skills, and social awareness. And the program curriculum supports the development of those skills in children in a variety of different ways. But we also recognize that students really are more than a set of skills. Obviously, they come to us from diverse backgrounds, and we really try to bridge the gaps to include families, to make SEL a part of your culture and the fabric of students' lives, to really ripple out and have those effects that research has shown happen when you make teaching SEL explicitly a part of your goal. With that, we also recognize that families are a huge factor in student social emotional learning, and we really do our best to try to foster those authentic family partnerships. So part of the reason that we see this as a central focus is that we understand that students spend a lot of time at school. They need these skills at school, but they spend even more time at home and with their caregivers. And so having that common language and the common goals really allows students to flourish. And it also allows that partnership between school and home to be even more strong.
Schools that engage students and families as authentic partners find a variety of ways to build relationships and collaborate. Understanding a family's community, cultures, values, and lived experiences is important in supporting a child's social, emotional, and academic development.
Parents and families are our children's first teachers, and they know more about these children than our teachers will. So making sure that we have relationships that allow us to communicate and learn from each other and really better understand who our kids are, not just when they're in our classroom, but who they are in their lives, is really important part of developing a relationship, not just with the parent, but better understanding the student themselves.
Educators find that it is essential to have clear two-way communication with parents or caregivers, as well as an aligned vision of SEL.
So as you move from your family into the school, in many respects, that's a cultural shift. The norms and expectations within your family may be slightly different than those in the school. So the kinds of partnerships that we imagine would have families as co-learners, co-constructors of learning environments writ large in the school and outside the school to create environments where young people clear about what are the expectations and the nature of the relationships with adults that kind of shape their world and help them to achieve their goals and dreams.
These family partnerships can be fostered in a variety of ways, but consistency and relationship remain at the heart of each strategy.
Okay, so reflecting on that video, we'd love to open the floor to you all and to hear a little bit about what your priorities are in terms of the importance of family and community engagement when it comes to your school's SEL plan. And then also thinking more logistically, who could you partner with inside or outside your school to support these efforts? So please feel free to pop in the chat. How do you plan to encourage and support your family engagement? And how can we at Second Step support your opportunities for families to communicate with you and within your school community? So feel free to add your thoughts into the chat, and Jenny will kind of shout those out. And then something that I just want to share in terms of my experience working with school partners is that we see a lot of times that schools are doing double duty. They're trying to obviously teach students, and then they're also trying to teach families. And so building some transparency and a bridge to really help families understand what their students are learning and what those ultimate goal, what the ultimate goal is in terms of building those skills for life and learning through social emotional learning, how those can benefit their students is really impactful in terms of getting everyone on the same team. So that's what we are trying to achieve here at Second Step. And we'd love to hear any other thoughts you have about things that have worked well, who you plan to kind of engage in your efforts in terms of maybe you have a counselor or a teacher who is very excited about Second Step and who is kind of acting as a liaison for your school. Maybe you have, as a part of your school's communication plan, some things already thought through in terms of how you're going to engage families, but we'd love to hear from you all. Or if you don't have that, what you're hoping to get from our time together.
Great, and we do have a couple of thoughts coming in. The first one is the importance of relationships stood out to me as I was watching the video. So absolutely agree with that one. How connecting with families really comes from that place of developing relationships. And I know that it also stands out to me when they talk about that cultural shift and how we can support our students in making that shift and helping support our families again through that relationship. So thank you for sharing that. I also see making sure our teachers and counselors know what resources are available to help them communicate with families throughout the year. It's a great reflection and absolutely why we're here today to talk about what resources are built into the program so that we can communicate effectively about social emotional learning and the ways that our families can stay looped in with what we're doing in the classroom, and also share those ways they can support them at home. So thank you for sharing that as well.
Thank you, Jenny. Thanks for calling that out. It's always great to hear from you all, what resonates and what you're really hoping to achieve. So thank you so much for those of you who have shared.
And I have one more too that came in, Rebecca. This one is the need to communicate the definition of SEL is critical to help everyone's understanding of the importance of building capacity.
Absolutely. I think that especially right now, we know that sometimes SEL in certain communities can be conflated with other kinds of initiatives, and often you kind of can miss the forest for the trees when we're not operating using the same definitions, and again, when we're not aligned with those goals. So yeah, thank you all for your thoughtful reflections. All right, so just to give you a quick overview, we will be talking about a number of different second step curriculums today. You all are not expected to be experts in these curriculums, but I am going to go through each of them just so that you can see where to find those family engagement resources, depending on which curriculum you are using. But at the heart of all of these, there are really four primary components to all of our programs. Obviously, we have the lessons, and then we have the daily skill practice and reinforcement. But then at the top of the pyramid is really our family engagement, and we've built that intentionally as a resource into every single product that we offer, because we understand that families are such critical partners, and we also want to support you all in bridging that gap, as we've mentioned. To support that effort, we have our family communications available now in 12 different languages. So English, Spanish, Arabic, Chinese, Creole, Hmong, Korean, Russian, Somali, Tagalog, Vietnamese. Right now, those are the languages that we offer. And we also always want to hear from you all if there are additional resources and languages that you would benefit from in your school community. We always love to hear that. So thanks to you all for that feedback that have allowed us to expand the program's resources in this way thus far. All right, now I'm going to dive into kind of what the breakdown of materials looks like for the different curriculums that we offer. So starting with our box kits, these are physical materials. They come with puppets. They have teaching materials, notebooks, and all of the family materials are available in those physical kits. We have an introductory letter that's available in English and Spanish. And then we also have home link activities that really allow students to kind of teach to their parents or their caregivers what they're learning, and then also give some suggestions for activities that students can do at home. We also have an overview PowerPoint presentation that can be helpful if you have an open house or, parent-teacher conferences or something like that, where folks want to dive into this a little bit deeper. We have that resource built out for you. And then we also have book lists available to, again, extend that learning between school and home. For our KIT programs that are focused on bullying prevention and child protection, again, these are physical products. They are notebooks, and they come with different physical resources that you would use. We also have family letters at the beginning to introduce families to the program. And then we also have them incorporated at strategic moments during the training to, again, get families on board and make sure that they are aware and able to support their students in learning. That can come in the form of weekly home links. And again, those are available in English and Spanish, very similar to the K through 5 KIT curriculum that we talked about initially. We also, in all of our products, we have program introduction built in. So whether you're using the digital program that's all online or any of the physical kits, we have materials to support you all in introducing the program to your families. That can look like meetings. So I had mentioned, maybe you have an open house or parent-teacher conferences. We have lots of supports to help you all in having those conversations, in addition to providing them with the information about the program. And I'm going to just pause here. I see a couple of questions coming in the chat. So Jenny, feel free to interrupt me too if there are any things that come up. We appreciate that you all are participating, and I'd love to make this more of a discussion if anyone has thoughts.
I am absolutely happy to read out as reflections and any additional thoughts come in. Megan shared in the chat that her SEL team is working at the school and district to help support this family communication, and is really open to any and all suggestions that will help with that. So so excited that you are all here to be able to benefit from the shared knowledge and experiences as we move through today. So we will make sure to continue providing those recommendations, and please feel free, everyone, to share those insights and questions as we move through. And like Rebecca said, we'll share those out.
Yes, thanks. Thanks for, yes, it's always good to hear that we're on the right track, and that folks are, obviously you're here for a reason. So, so just kind of diving in a little bit deeper. So in terms of the structure, we anticipate that before you teach the program or in the early stages that you are going to introduce this to parents. So I mentioned we have resources for supporting folks in those conversations. And then we also have the overview letters for each of the curriculums. So that is kind of their initial intro. And then as students go through, we have ongoing communication built in. This in the digital program looks like weekly communications that cover, an overview of the lesson objectives, and then an activity. And then in the KIT programs, we have different activities that we call home links that support students in, again, kind of sharing the information that was learned and then extending it by doing an activity with their caregivers. So that is true in different forms across all of the Second Step products. I know we've talked about a couple different things today, but moving into the digital lens. So this one is, you'll know that you have this if you only use it online. It doesn't come with any physical materials. And at the elementary level, what that entails is, again, an overview family letter to introduce the program. We also have some open house materials, a printable flyer, and that same kind of PowerPoint presentation. And then we have the unit overview home links, which gives families an idea for each of the 4 units, what their students will be kind of aiming towards at the end of the unit, and provides supports for them to kind of explore that content with their student more broadly. And then on a weekly level, we also have those family communications that I mentioned earlier that give them kind of a quick summary of the lesson, and then some extension options for practice at home. We've talked about this already, but this is our open house flyer, the graphic that you can see on the screen here. And you can see that some features that I really appreciate as a parent myself is that it gives an overview of what students will be learning. And then it also has information about what students and schools will benefit from. So the behaviors that we are hoping to promote, like academic success, school connectedness, a safe and respectful school climate, and then the behaviors that we're hoping to prevent. So problem behaviors, antisocial, peer rejection, impulsivity, and then obviously low academic performance. So again, our goal is really to get parents on board and to get their support in supporting these skills for their students, because we know that this is going to have tremendous impacts on children for the rest of their lives, potentially. We've also touched on this briefly, but the ongoing communications at the unit level look like, again, providing a deeper dive into the unit themes and then why it's important. So we have a summary and then also kind of helping to bridge that gap of what students will be learning, and then also some options for trying things at home. This is just a quick screenshot of a sample family communication. So this is for 5th grade and it's talking about stress. So you can see here in the summary, just a quick little blurb about the skills that students are learning to identify. So signs of stress, situations that cause them to feel stress, and then strategies that they can use to manage those feelings. My daughter, who is now in 7th grade, did 2nd step, and this was my favorite thing to do with her as a parent. I loved these kind of try this at home things. So asking your child what their body feels like, helping them to cue into those self-regulation techniques, and really getting a better understanding of what causes them to feel stress, and then giving caregivers the opportunity to share their own experiences to really kind of enrich their relationship with their children in addition to building those skills. So this, as a parent, for me, was one of my favorite parts of the program. For the middle school level, the program is structured very similarly. So we have the same overview and open house flyer and presentation. And then we also have those weekly family communications that support students and families in building those skills and extending the learning. And then we also, because this program covers bullying and harassment, which we know parents are often, concerned about and really want to support their students, we have a Unit 2 introduction letter that gives them some strategies and kind of awareness around what their students will be learning and how they can support them. So that's a really helpful resource, especially if you have families who are wondering, about your school's policies and things like that. That can be a good starting point. And then finally, we have a website. Actually, it's a free resource and it's called Parent Teen Connect. And this has some good resources to support those conversations that might be more challenging, especially in those teen years for families to have with their students about power struggles, boundaries and limits, all those kinds of things. So that can be another good resource to support families who are asking for it. Diving in a little more deeply here, you can see this is the 2nd step middle school program open house flyer. Again, we have that focus on how students are benefiting from SEL, and then also focusing on workforce readiness, which we know is something that in the middle school years, you're already starting to think about. Kids are thinking about going to college. And this is really also that time when students can have metacognition and thinking about how these skills benefit them. So we really try to get parents on board and then also get students on board with understanding how these skills will benefit them and what they're really working towards overall. We also have a quick sample communication. This is from the 6th grade, and we always start with some brain science and focus on goals and achieving things that we set our minds to in both the elementary and the middle school curriculum. So you can see the summary. Students will learn how to identify and set achievable goals by making them specific. And then it gives caregivers the opportunity to get involved in their child's goal and help them to kind of delineate those specific factors that will hopefully help them make their goals a reality. I'm getting a little overeager here. I already talked about Parent Teen Connect, but just to help give you kind of a visual with the description, this is the free website that I mentioned earlier that supports students and parents in negotiating those more challenging conversations. And you can find this resource at parentteenconnect.org. Jenny just added that to the chat. And we also will send a wrap-up email after this presentation. You can expect that in the next couple of days. And we will link all of these resources in that wrap-up email as well, along with a certificate of completion and a link to the recording if this is something that you'd like to pass along to other folks in your school setting. All right, so in terms of kind of making all of this fit, we have some great planning tools that are available for you within the program. We have an implementation snapshot that includes a roadmap with recommendations for when and how to engage families when implementing the program. And this tool specifically highlights the importance of introducing the program early. So ideally, before you start teaching the lessons, if you've already started teaching, that is not a problem or an issue. Giving families transparency is just something that we always recommend. So I'll show you how to find those momentarily when we go into our screen share. I'll walk you through the website. And you can see on this slide here, we just have kind of a quick overview of where to find the family communications materials. And I am actually going to take this opportunity to show you live. So give me 1 second to get that set up here. And Jenny, you'll have to tell me if you have any issues. How's the font size there?
It's coming through great, and it's nice big font so we can read it.
All right, wonderful. Thank you so much. Okay, so to get started, you will need a second step account. If you don't already have one, you can create an account here. And generally, this is going to be associated with your school. So it's important to take a minute to kind of search through your email. If you've received an invitation to create a second step account, you'll want to go through that link just to make sure that you don't have any typos or issues with the email address that you used, because that is what will give you the access to these program materials. So assuming you all have second step accounts or are able to create one, I'm just going to go to my dashboard. And now I'm just going to zoom in here a little bit. You can see that we have this horizontal menu here for the different grade bands. I've mentioned this already a few times, but all of the different second step curriculum that we offer have the family materials embedded within them. So I am going to start with our digital program. That tends to be the one that most folks use. So I will show you that first. You can see the title of that is right here. So second step elementary digital. If you see something different on your dashboard, not to worry, I will cover all of the different curricula that we offer. So for our purposes, I am going to show you this from a teacher's point of view. So I would click on my class first, and then clicking into the program at all brings up this new horizontal menu. And you can see here there's an Engage Families tab. That's going to be true whether you're a teacher or an administrator or a leader. You will, I'm going to just go back here and show you another way to get in here. If you click on the Principal Toolkit, which has resources for leaders, that will also take you to the same horizontal menu. So Engage Families is where we want to go. I'm going to click on that. And then you have all of the family materials compiled for you at a glance, including the program introductions that I showed you earlier. And then for each grade level, you can see we have the weekly family communications that are linked for you here. So I mentioned we have that home link that gives kind of a larger goal overview and overview of what students are learning and why it's important. And then we also have those activities here. So this can be sent out at the beginning of the unit, and then weekly as students go through the curriculum, we have these lesson summaries and examples of things that caregivers can do with their students at home to support that skill development. I also just quickly want to show you, I had mentioned this briefly, but in the introductory materials, you can see here downloadable options for all of these different resources, including the PowerPoint deck. And then for all of these print materials, if you click on this drop-down menu, that will give you the option of seeing these in the different languages that are available. So that is the digital program. You can see it's pretty easy to access, very straightforward. Everything is in the same place. The same is true for our kit programs. So I had mentioned this initially, but the kits have everything needed in the physical materials. You don't have to go online for them. If you do want them in digital copies, you will need to activate your kits online if you haven't already done that. So in the teaching materials notebooks, we have an activation code that is unique to your particular kit. You'll need to get that notebook and then click right here on kit activation on the right-hand side. From there, you will add that activation key. And once you do that, you'll scroll down and see the second step elementary classroom kits pop up. And you will need to do this for each grade level that you are supporting. So if, for example, you are an administrator and you want to collaborate and send all the family communications home for each grade level, you would need a kit for each grade level to add these materials to your dashboard. Does that make sense? Jenny, anything else to add?
Don't think that I've got anything else to add there, but we did have a question come up in the chat related to the middle school program, just asking, is the best way to capture those parent communications to copy and paste? And so if you wouldn't mind being able to go in, Rebecca, and show that process again, and I'll also say yes for those weekly family communications. They are written so that they can be easily copy and pasted into that weekly email home, or if there's another way that you like to communicate with families, maybe through a website, you could copy and paste those there as well. But I'm sure Rebecca would be happy to go in and orient us to that.
Yes,
again.
thank you, Jenny. And I apologize for those of you teaching at the middle school level. I didn't show you that you can navigate for the digital program between the elementary grades and then the middle school grades here. So I'm going to click on grades 6 through 8. And again, clicking into the program in any capacity is going to give me this horizontal menu, engage families. And then I will just kind of show you what Jenny was saying, that the weekly communications are meant to be copied and pasted. If you would like those translated, clicking on the language of choice will also bring up this option to copy it to the clipboard. And then for some of our other communications that have a lot of formatting, we have those downloadable as PDFs. So I'm going to go back to introducing the program to just give you a quick example of this. The open house flyer has lots of different formatting. And so you would just download it as a PDF and attach it, or, embed it within your website or whatever the case might be. Thank you for calling out that question, Jenny.
Yeah, it's a great question. So thank you so much for asking that. And if there's any others that pop up as we continue moving through, then please feel free to share them.
Agreed. Okay, so I am going to go back now to the kits. One thing you should know about navigating the website is that this S in the top left corner will always bring you back to that dashboard. So for our purposes, I'm going to say I've activated my kits. I now have access to those materials. And then clicking into any of the grade levels will again bring up that horizontal toolkit. And you can see here we have, very similar to the digital program, this families tab. So clicking on the families tab is going to give you all the different resources for the various grade levels. This is grade level specific communications. So we have program features and benefits, home links, and family resources. And one thing that is a little bit different about the kit programs is that they actually come with a family activation key as well. So if you have families who are very engaged and would really like to see the program content for themselves, they can add an activation key, just like I showed you all how to do that. And then they will see these different sections. So the program features, brain builders, and skill practice. It just gives them kind of a quick introduction to the different resources in the program. They won't have access to any of these other materials, but they can see their grade level communications. So that is one nice thing about the kits, is that they can allow families to access that directly. Going back, the final thing I'd like to show you all is the Bullying Prevention and Child Protection Unit. So similarly, to access the materials for those kits online, you'll need to add the activation key, which is found in the notebook. And then clicking into the grade level will give you access to the different resources. So on our Families tab, we have an overview and then all of the different grade level communications to support their learning at home. And in the Child Protection Unit, it's a little bit different because our Child Protection Unit focuses specifically on preventing abuse and specifically childhood sexual abuse. So this program is a little bit more robust in our family communications. We have the Families tab also here that supports families in learning what they need to know and do to prevent childhood sexual abuse. This is a video that kind of gives families a quick overview of how to navigate these more uncomfortable conversations and what they can do as caregivers to support their children, and to talk about things openly and honestly and really reinforce those skills taught in the program. And then we also have a similar breakdown of activities, and then an overview of what students are learning. So slightly more robust in the Child Protection Unit, because we know that families are much more deeply involved at this level. And then on the administrative side, we also have some program supports that are available for you all in getting started. So we have our own Engaged Families tab here under program supports. It's organized a little bit differently than what I've been showing you all. And clicking into this is going to give me all of my home links and family letters. We have a few more of these for the Child Protection Unit, simply because, again, this content is a little bit heavier. It can garner a lot more questions from parents. And so we really want to make sure that we are supporting throughout each lesson on, what students are learning and really how to support them in, in supporting their children in this more complicated, heavy topic. I'm going to pause there. I know I talk quickly. Let's just do a quick check for questions. Anything coming up, Jenny, that I may have missed or that has come up in the chat?
No new questions, but a share around the copying and pasting and a really great idea to help support all of your teachers in your school if it does feel like a heavier lift for them to be able to go in and copy and paste those family communications. So Megan was sharing the thought of being able to set up a Google Drive and putting those family communications in there so that teachers would be able to access it and attach those as a PDF. And so really appreciate that feedback, and also a thought around ways to better support the lift for teachers and being able to communicate with families. It's always so valuable for us to hear from your experiences. And if there's anyone else who has any thoughts or wants to, again, share, your experiences with supporting families, then this is a great place for us to be able to listen to those and maybe brainstorm some other ideas together. So thank you, Megan, for sharing that.
Yeah, thank you so much for shouting that out, Jenny. And Megan, I don't know if you know this, but Jenny and I work pretty closely with schools, and we often will take feedback like this and bring it to our product team. Sometimes there are challenges that we have to navigate in terms of copyright and making sure that things are both widely available and also, kind of follow the guidelines that we have to follow. So we will definitely bring this feedback to our team, and certainly encourage all of you to continue sharing your ideas, because we often learn the most through you all who are working with this in practice. Anything else that I could share while we are live on the website, or shall I talk through some of our resources? Can you think of anything that I may have missed, Jenny?
You did- I think you did a great job covering everything, Rebecca. So I don't have anything else to add, and I don't think I see any other questions or thoughts in the chat at the moment.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Whoops. Can you all see my screen here? Great. Whoops, sorry. This slide deck is having some issues today. So we have talked through some of the resources already, but I really just want to end with a one final resource, and that is that our support team and our Facebook community are two really great resources for you all. So I had mentioned that your feedback is something that we always appreciate. And we actually have a moderated Facebook community that is specifically for educators. And this is a place where you can come to share ideas, ask questions, share resources, get feedback. And we also are now hosting a new monthly office hours. So that's something that we're really excited about. And we would love it if you joined us offline to continue the conversation. Additionally, we have a support team who is available Monday through Friday from 6 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Pacific time to support you. This is both for technical issues, but also for general program questions. So if you didn't follow my click path or you're not sure how to activate your kits, you're always welcome to reach out and we would be happy to help you.
Right, and just a last share in the chat of thanking for creating this space together. So we appreciate you all too for joining us and helping us create this space. It's one of our favorite things that we do is get to work with educators, and especially in this webinar space, be able to connect with educators from all over the country. So your feedback is so valuable to us, and your thoughts are so valuable to us, and we just feel so lucky to work alongside you.
Absolutely. So well said. Thank you, Jenny. And thank you all for being here.